Ladies and gentlemen, we have seemed to hit a bit of a standstill when it comes to the college football conference realignment talk as it pertains to the Big Ten. But one consistent rumor I've seen over the past few weeks since the news broke that Texas and Oklahoma were going to the SEC, the one consistent rumor I've seen is linking the University of Kansas with the Big Ten. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why that would be an absolutely disastrous scenario for the Big Ten, who desperately needs to add a really good team. I don't envy the position the Big Ten is in right now. It's a tough spot. You have to, try and counter what the SEC did. There's not a lot of teams out there, but adding Kansas is absolutely the wrong move and will only make the conference somehow weaker. Now let's look at 3 reasons why Kansas in the Big Ten would be terrible. They got a nice logo. I'll give them that. You see that? Number 1, football, LOL. Basically, it would weaken the conference in terms of the college football aspect, which would be very detrimental. You see the SEC and ESPN strengthen their power grip over college football. Guys, personally, it's a unique situation for someone like me because I am an Ohio State fan, and I'm sitting there saying selfishly, from an Ohio State point of view, does the Big Ten really need to add anyone? I mean, Ohio State can just keep beating up on these teams in the Big Ten, making the playoff every year. We know it's expanding to at least 8 teams, probably 12 within the coming years once Oklahoma and Texas join the SEC by 2025, as early as 2023. So I'm sitting there thinking, do we really need a stronger conference? But the idea is the SEC is going to be so much more powerful. It's actually going to be hard to recruit kids to the Big Ten. And you add a team like Kansas, they'd become the worst team in the Big Ten. So obviously it would weaken the conference from a football perspective, and they're not racking in the revenue at their stadium. We see empty seats all over the place there. Number 2, hurts basketball. Now, let me explain this one. The first thing I'm going to say is Kansas has an historically elite college basketball program. They are 100% a blue blood. But this is more of a selfish thing to the point where it's like the Big Ten has a really good thing going on with the basketball side of things. We don't need to disrupt anything. We don't need to make the basketball side of the conference tougher than it already is. Chris Holtmann is building something really nice at Ohio State right now. Ohio State has the number 1 recruiting class in 2022. Juwan Howard is phenomenal at Michigan. There are teams like the Big Ten is fine basketball-wise. We don't need, the only thing adding Kansas would do would bring us more revenue from the basketball side of the conference. We already have an ultra-competitive Big Ten basketball conference who has been the number 1 overall conference the past 2 years. Now they're going to bring up, no one from the Big Ten has won a national title. No one has won, the March Madness national title, since the year 2000 when Michigan State won it. You can say that, but realistically, overall, the strength of the conference, March Madness is such a crapshoot. We love it, but it really is a crapshoot. You get a few teams get hot here and there. They can win it. Ohio State in 2011 probably had the best team in the past decade, and Ohio State lost in the Sweet 16 to Kentucky. So overall, it's just like, it doesn't hurt the basketball side of the conference in terms of, overall revenue, things like that. You're going to make more money. I understand that, but it's like, we don't need another great team in the conference for basketball. We don't. We need a great team for football. That's what we need. We're competing with the SEC. We need to try and stay relevant when it comes to college football. We don't need our basketball. We just had the best conference in college basketball the past 2 years. We don't need another elite team. The number 1 focus should be football. Get an elite program for football. If they suck at basketball, who cares? Who cares? And the third reason, widens the SEC gap in power. It gives them more strength. Obviously, you add a team like Kansas, it weakens you from a college football perspective, and it would only widen the gap with the SEC. It's already a crazy big gap as it is, guys. Again, I do not envy the Big Ten. They don't have a lot of options right now. That's why we've talked about the idea of potentially merging with the Pac-12, which is a crazy idea. But what are your options? Oh, we can go get Iowa State. Really? Guys, Iowa State, how many times do I have to say this about Iowa State? Iowa State historically is a bad football program. They've been good the past few years. They have high expectations this year. They were on one of my most overrated teams for this year. I think they're going to lose 3 or 4 games in a very tough Big 12. That's a tough Big 12. Underrated teams in the Big 12 like Oklahoma State, like TCU. It's a tough conference this year, and Iowa State, they're a preseason top 10. Everyone looks at Iowa State and they're like, man, they're a top 10 team. Go get them. Yeah, they're a top 10 team for 1 or 2 years. Let's see if they can sustain it. Let's see if they can keep Matt Campbell for the next 5 or 6 years and really build something. They're still not recruiting well, even with the recent success. So it's just a major risk adding a team like Iowa State. I will say adding Iowa State would be better than Kansas. Anything's better than Kansas. Kansas is one of, if not the worst team in FPS over the past 10 years or so. I mean, there's no hope for Kansas. There really isn't. There's no hope for their football program right now. Kansas is better off going to the American and doing some sort of group of 5 thing where they can resurrect their football program. You know, they tried the whole thing with Les Miles because apparently, he's a good recruiter, right, from LSU. And that was a complete disaster. I think, there were I think Les Miles has legal issues now or something. So, guys, the whole thing with Kansas, it's not good for the Big Ten. We don't need another basketball power. We have a good thing going with the basketball side of things. We don't need another superpower basketball team. We don't need another blue blood. Okay, the basketball side of the conference is fine. With the SEC adding Oklahoma and Texas, the Big Ten, what you'd think would have to counter that with legitimate teams. I don't envy the Big Ten. I don't know who they're going to get. I've said go out and get Notre Dame. But guys, I'm actually starting to get annoyed by Notre Dame fans thinking they're this big team. Like, the only reason Notre Dame's relevant and people want Notre Dame in their conference is because the SEC got Texas and Oklahoma. Otherwise, I wouldn't care about Notre Dame. But it's like now we have to counter them. Again, realistically, if you're an Ohio State fan, even if you're a Michigan fan or a Penn State fan, I don't know, like, it's just like with the college football playoff expanding, I don't know what the big deal would be to add a potential really good team. The only issue is the Big Ten's relevance in college football gets destroyed if we add teams like Kansas and Iowa State, and the SEC is adding way better teams, and it's only going to make the SEC teams easier for them to recruit big-time players to their conference. They could basically say, this is the Super League, this is the Premier League of college football, and the Big Ten's just, that Northern Pee Wee League. And that is the scary thought. That's what we don't want to have happen. So when it comes to Kansas and the Big Ten, it's not going to happen. Well, actually, I don't know if it's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. And, I mean, there's many more reasons, but these are 3 main ones. The football side of things, LOL. I mean, good Lord. Hurts basketball. The revenue side helps, but we don't need another great team when it comes to college basketball. And then it definitely widens the SEC power and their strength and their grip over ESPN. ESPN's obsessed with them. And it widens their grip over college football. It's really a disturbing thought. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I am, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.